On this week's episode of Devil's Trap Podcast, Lady Fancy Pants should have called it biohazard magic, not hybrid magic.
And we've got magical battles and kicking ass. Let's do this.
Welcome to this week's episode of Devil's Trap Podcast. I'm Diana.
And I'm Liz.
And we're going to talk season 12, episode 22, Who We Are.
That's who we are.
Huh.
And that is a Descendant song. And so that is stuck in my head. But I also feel like it's like a bunch of other punk rock songs, but it's just other punk rock songs that sound like they should say who we are.
Yeah.
They just say something that's like maybe slightly different. Like, who are you? Who am I? You know, like there's so many versions of that. And like every punk rock band has a song that's something like that.
We are something. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. We all stand, something,
Yeah.
So, what have you been up to?
So what happened? I've been to I went to 2 shows. Oh my gosh. I went and saw Jenny Don't and the Spurs and Kate Clover. And Kate Clover is just awesome. I sent you a picture of her outfit. Anyways, she's just super fun, chick rock and roll out of California. And I really enjoy her. I've seen her once before. So if she's coming to your town, check her out. But also went and saw, we had there's a big show at a new venue. And it was Vandaliers, Local H, Black Angels, and the Toadies. Because the Toadies have a new album out, if you remember them. But anyway, so yeah, it was super fun. Outdoors. The weather was lovely after a week of rain. And hung out went to breakfast in Deep Ellum at All Good Cafe. Like, I don't know who I am, but that's what I did this weekend.
That's exciting.
Yeah. So yeah, what about you?
Oh, really haven't been up to much of anything, but the episode of Boys with Padalecki and with Misha Collins came out, and it was, I'm not going to spoil it, but it was all, it was disgusting. I knew it was going to be, and it was, and then just me couldn't think like it couldn't get more disgusting than it did. And I will say, like, the one thing that, and Kripke said it in a lot of interviews, was the goal was to kill as many celebrities as possible. So the whole episode is about how many cameos they could crowd in. And so basically how many celebrities could they have in this one episode and violently murder them?
Oh. Okay.
So disgusting.
Fun. Well,
yeah. So
there's been some interesting coverage about it.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm glad that's out, and yeah. So that's
glad you saw it.
I'm glad I saw it, and I'm sad that it's over because I can't. I don't know. Like they probably won't. I don't know. They said there may be possible things in flashbacks with Vought Rising. That's a possibility of bringing it back because Vought Rising is before.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, there's been some of the commentary, I guess some of the interviews they've commented that like how interesting it was for the 3 of them to interact as totally different characters than they had before. So because it hasn't been all 3 of them doing that, I guess. Yeah, since Supernatural. So
yeah, but I mean they're all obviously Male Chemical is a certain disgusting level of character, and that's Misha Collins' character. And so yeah, they all had their various quirks, and I will just say overall, and I'm spoiling this, the drug use overall in The Boys is just sometimes it's just shocking to watch, and I'm just like, am I a prude? Like, am I really just surprised by this? But sometimes it's like, oh my god, you're so and so is doing drugs, and it's just like I know, grow up,
and you're like, how do they know how to do that?
Yeah.
Do they know what that would be like in the real world?
Not that I have never, I wouldn't know what any of that stuff is like. So how dare they put this on television?
Yeah, that's why you're upset.
That's why it is just, it's sometimes it's just funny. So yeah, that's my life. My life is TV, and I beat a Super Mario Brothers game, and I swear I'm an adult.
Well, I mean, sounds
sometimes
pretty relaxing.
You gotta do what you gotta do.
Exactly.
And I'm a completist, so kind of once I start something, I have to finish it. So I started playing the game, and so then I had to play it until it was done, and then I can move on with my life.
There you go.
So, anyways, let's talk about this episode. So, there is no reason for who we are besides. They weren't referencing the Descendants song. It was not written when this episode came out. That song is, I think it was written 2 years ago. This episode was May 18th, 2017 was when it first aired. And it was directed by John F. Showalter, who for this season did episode 4, American Nightmare, and also The British Invasion. And it was written by Robbie Behrens. And this season he did episode 3, The Foundry. He did Rock Never Dies. Remember that one? That was great. And episode 14, The Raid.
Okay.
So... And then we get a recap, which is flashback to that time Roy and Walt shot Sam and Dean. That was going way back. And then we got Jody. Then we got Mary's been tortured and brainwashed. Everyone got locked out of the bunker. Ketch gave a literal villain's monologue about how he's going to kill them. He might as well have had a cat in that monologue and been stroking its head. It would have completed it. He really did need a cat.
He did.
Ketch needed a cat. All right. So
he's too much of a sociopath for an animal, though.
True, but maybe a hellcat. He should have bonded with the hell dog.
Hellhound.
Hellhound. I just called it hell dog. Anyhow. All right. So that's our recap. And we start off with there is a body and a Bloody Mary.
Yeah.
And not the good drink kind.
Not the drink kind, yeah. No, unfortunately. There's a bloody body on top of this old truck, 1940s pickup truck, and then they zoom out and there's a bunch of old cars because Mary just killed some dude at an auto repair shop. And she is cleaning this weird claw blade thing under the sink poorly. It's why'd even bother? You're cleaning it but not.
It's barely she just is still covered in blood. And just, why are you bothering with it? You might as well just get a wet wipe and go across your face.
Yeah. And she sends a text to Ketch saying, Lester's down, who's next? And as she's getting in her car, she gets responses. And it's Fred McRae, Idaho, Kirby Sheffield, Wyoming, and Jody Mills, South Dakota. No!
Not Jody. So we cut from that to the bunker, and everyone is in there discussing their situation and how there really isn't a way out of the bunker. And Dean proposes killing Lady Fancy Pants in order to save some oxygen.
And she insists that she's a shallow breather. I'm amused. I was like, okay. But she's also like, hey, I'm also the only one that can deprogram your mom. So you need me. And they're like, well, she could be lying or she might be telling the truth. 50-50 chance, we better keep her alive. Okay. So they're like, fine. Well, then if you're so smart, since she was shooting down all of their ideas, what do you say we do? How do we get out of here? How do we undo this? And she's like, oh, there's just a manual override. And they're like, what the fuck? Why didn't you tell us? She's like, oh, because it's outside. Oh, not helpful.
But still, it's something they know. And then Sam's like, hey, we're in a vault filled with magical books. Surely there is something in this bunker that can reverse this lockdown. So let's start going through the books. So we get a flash on the screen that is going to be day 1, right? Mm-hmm. And Sam finds a Romani spell, the abrogation ritual, which is used as an act of rebellion against the persecutors. And it turns back mechanical processes and resets machinery, except that it needs virgin blood. And everyone kind of like looks around and like, fuck.
Yeah, they're out of luck.
But Sam then just like, oh, we can fake it, right? We can take a purification spell and re-virginize that blood and use it. And then Lady Fancy Pants is all like, ooh, 2-step hybrid magic. I'm like, is that really unusual? Like, you're just putting two things together. It's not.
I know. I thought that was a weird thing. Like, okay, like, yes.
You're doing a thing to do the next thing.
Yes, that's how a lot of things work.
Okay, and then they do some very unsanitary magic where they just use a pocket knife, not even just one that somebody went.
And they have like a kitchen there, so like they could use like a clean knife. And I'm sure somewhere in the bunker there's like a knife that is made for this. But also, why are you cutting the palm of your hand? Syringe. But why the palm of their hand?
That's where you get the blood. That's yeah. So they put that all into a bowl. Yeah. And so then they all say some words over it. We hear the locks whir and the lights flicker and everyone's kind of excited because we're like, it's working. Mm-hmm. And then it doesn't work because Ketch put a damper on the bunker. So you can't do magic.
Yeah. And of course, Lady Bevel's like, oh, I should have known. Of course he did. So no magic will work. And it's like, bitch, you could have said that earlier. But okay.
She seems to, say things a little afterwards. So, so then we get day 2.
Mm-hmm. And Dean's like, all right, we tried brain. Now we're going to try brawn. So he's like, here is the spot that is the least reinforced in the entire bunker. It is just a little bit of concrete, and then it goes to the sewer line, and we can climb up, and we are going to, quote, straight Shawshank this bitch. So, and so Sam and Dean go start pickaxing the wall, this concrete wall with goggles.
Yes, well, after they first did it without and then realized they needed them. So at least they put them on.
And they earn a break after quite some time and exertion after making like no progress. It is.
Yeah, but they get really dirty and sweaty, and that's okay. So they're like sweating it out. Sam wants to know how all of this happened. And Dean remembers, that time they thought they had it made with Mom and Cass back. I'm like, when was that? Like, when did you guys think you had it made? Like, things have been pretty bad for 12 seasons. But now, like, those things are all gone, and they're just fucked, right?
Mm-hmm. And Sam's like, Sam's really upset and beating himself up because he fell for the British Men of Letters bullshit. He thought like there was just so much good they can do. And then but he got sold on that. And then once he was in, he really found it easier to be a follower than a leader. So he started down that path with them.
Are you a leader or are you a follower, Sam? So Sam is now pulling himself up and he thinks he's gonna be a leader. But Sam wants to know if this is how Dean pictured it ending, right? And Dean's like, no, I always thought we'd be going out Blaze of Glory style, which gives Dean an idea.
Mm-hmm. Oh goodness. We've cut to Lady Bevel calling them lunatics because Dean finally gets to use his grenade launcher.
Yeah, and he yippee-ki-yays it, even though Fancy Pants thinks it's a terrible idea. And he fires it, and there's a giant hole in the wall. But no Dean.
Yes, but no Dean. Dean's gone. And Sam sees through the hole, he can see a ladder going up. And as he's looking at the ladder, a fuck ton of rubble falls down, which is not a good sign. So that's not great. And so Sam is now, this is like things have accelerated as far as the oxygen loss because of this explosion, it seems. Not because of it, but around the timing of it.
Yeah.
And Sam is struggling to get to the main room, calling for Dean. He can barely breathe. He is pulling himself along. And suddenly what happens? The power comes back on. The air starts flowing. Holy shit.
Yeah, it's like when air conditioning works after like it's being broken for 3 days in Texas heat. And then a bloody Dean comes in. And so he's the one, he got outside, he got the manual override going and got in.
Yes. And you get a "hey lunatic" line. Cute.
Yeah,
cute.
it's very sweet between the two of them this whole episode. So
really is.
we go to Sioux Falls, where there's Mary knocking on Jody's door, and Mary still looks all fucked up from before, and Jody's like, "This is gross. Why do you want to come in my house?" And Mary's just like, "Can I come in?" And Jody's for some reason, okay. Jody is like, "All right, I guess you can."
I mean, of course she would let her in, but yeah. So we cut to Sam and Dean out. They're outdoors now, but they're by baby, and they're checking all the cell phones for battery. And I was like, "Oh, we just talked about this. That's amazing."
This brings us back to the who charges their phone questions, and clearly no one has been charging this box of phones,
except for there's one that has some juice. So, yes. So Dean calls Garth, and he's like, "Hey, Garth, I already warned you about these like dickhead British dudes. However, they now have a hit out on all hunters, and I bet it's an extra hit for a werewolf hunter. So y'all need to get somewhere safe."
So yeah, he tells them to go hide. And then Sam just says the word Jody.
Yeah. And so they hop in the car. Lady Bevel's handcuffed in the back, and they just start hauling ass to Jody's. And they get there, and we see that Mary's car is still there, which gives you a little bit of a panic attack for a second before they get in. So Jody's sitting in a chair with an ice pack on her face and Alex standing next to her. Mary is tied to a dining room chair.
And Alex is now working on Dean's leg as a nurse while Jody tells him what happens. Mm-hmm. And Mary becomes really shitty about Jody playing mom to Dean. Mm-hmm. And Jody is just basically trying to be like, it's not your mom. And Mary keeps taunting them about how different she isn't from the Mary that he knows, right? Like, I'm actually just like your mom, right? And Sam's brought in Lady Fancy Pants, who now we find out, of course, she lied about fixing Mary. And then she says her programming is permanent. That the good Mary is hiding behind impenetrable psychic walls.
And they can't be torn down with grenades. Oh, cute. Now's the time to be cute, you bitch.
Yeah.
So bad.
And Dean's just gonna kill her, which still seems a little off. Like, there's a lot of people killing in this episode that we'll talk about, but it's it's like, really, should you? And Sam though points out that Ketch keeps calling Mary's phone, and Mary's just like, "I'll get it."
But they send it to voicemail, and so Lady Bevel's like, "Look, they're not gonna stop, so I think y'all should run." And Dean's like, "We're not gonna run," and she's like, "Then you die." And so Sam's like, "Or we fight."
Dun, dun, dun.
Mm-hmm.
So they're going to fight. And we see more hunters are gathering at Jody's, including Walton Roy, which is so awkward. And Sam stumbles through it at first, but he finds his words, right? He's giving this rousing speech about how he believed the BMOL at first, but what they want is just control, and that they will kill innocent people who get in the way. And they know hunting is about doing what's right. I'm like, I don't know, Walton Roy shot you. Like, I'm not sure we're all on the same page about what's right? But he says that the British want them dead because they can't control them. And he wants to go on the offensive and take them out. And then tells them that some of them might die. And they're like, okay, but we'll take down the bad guys because that's what we do. They're scared of us. They should be. Bah, bah. And then like lots of head nods and just testosterone popping off everywhere.
And Dean looks so proud of Sam.
He does. But shockingly, Dean's not going.
No. He said, "My leg's busted, so I'm no good." And Sam's like, "I'll take a jacked up Dean Winchester over any 10 hunters." But
have you seen Walt?
So, but Dean's like, "No, you're ready. You can go show these sons of bitches who's boss." Dean's personal project is to save Mom. He's decided. If she's in there, he's going to bring her back. So Jody sent, we see as a side, just a little cute because it mentioned someone else we know, is Jody's sending Alex to Donna Donna to be kept safe.
Aww.
Yeah. And
so Alex tells Jody to kick it in the ass.
She does. It's cute. So we've got Dean and Sam hugging it out, and it's really sweet. And they call each other bitch and jerk.
Yeah. Oh, single man tear. And Dean wants Tony to get him into Mary's head. And she's like, well, I need my rig to do that. Which she's, what is your rig? And
why does that make it worse?
It's just, I don't know, it's just weird too. Like, why are you calling this your rig? But so she says that's at her base, but that she can cobble something together with the right materials. And we cut from her to the British Men of Letters and Dr. Hess.
Ugh, that bitch. And she's giving directions, and we see pictures on the wall. Well, the screens on the wall highlighting Claire and Garth as targets to hit. It shows that Sam and Dean have been eliminated. But she's like, these are your targets. There are no restrictions. That includes family and bystanders. So just whatever you do, no witnesses.
Yeah, it's just batshit. Yes. Now you're just saying, like, we're just executing people. And not to mention how many, like, what happened to all the tactical people who died at the bunker? Did Ketch and them take their corpses with them, or are they still at the bunker? Like, are there just dead people, like, lying in the bunker?
I mean, that's what they did with Mick. They just kept his body in a freaking pelican case in the armory.
So we go from this craziness to a picture, like a shot of a caravan of cars going down the road, including a Sioux Falls sheriff's vehicle.
Jody, supposed to do that.
Don't take your work truck. What is wrong with you? Don't. Just take your personal vehicle. Do not take the count. What is wrong with you? So many things are wrong with the situation. So we get that caravan and we go then to Ketch.
Because he's panicking because he hasn't been able to get a hold of Mary.
Because, they're letting the phone go to voicemail and nobody answered it. So now he's tracking down her, which maybe that was a mistake. So she's tracked her down. I guess, like, however she is tracking Mary.
Yeah, I'm sure they put a tracker in her.
Inside her, right? This is what this is implying, because I don't think it's by phone.
I doubt it.
Right? So she's in Lebanon, Kansas, and we cut from there to Dean cuffing Mary in the bunker and Ketch running off, obviously, to go find her.
Yeah. So we got Dean, Lady Bevel, and Mary in the bunker. This just seems dangerous, but that's okay. So Lady Bevel's like, I'm going to go get supplies. And he's like, you're not going anywhere by yourself. And she's like, for the record, my people left me to die. So I'm not really on anyone's side except my own now. I'm going to try to do what will keep me alive. So,
yeah. And she also plays the son card, right? So she's like, I just want to see my son again. I think that is a manipulative ploy to try to humanize her to Dean a little bit. Right. So
I mean, she's probably also telling the truth, but it's also
wrong. She does seem to genuinely care for her son. I mean, even psychopaths can love a child. Maybe I guess it wouldn't be a psychopath, but so she has. I think she genuinely cares for her son, but she's also a cold bitch.
Yes. So she's like, I'm not asking for a pass, but just a head start when it's done. So he unlocks her cuffs. He gives her a shot. So, yeah. And then we cut back to the bunker, and all the new British Men of Letter operative guys are getting, like, gunned up. Like, I think
they're racking guns, and there's just people running around. And then we go back to the bunker where Mary and Dean both have electrodes on their heads, but poor Mary has hers in her hair, and like Dean just has him just like on his forehead. And like, what the hell, like Ackles, where you just like, no, I'm not going to put any in my hair, like you mess it up.
Probably. Yeah.
It just reminded me of like if you ever do like a sleep study, they put the electrodes in your hair, and so it feels like you've got like gum stuck in your hair that you have to, and that's what I was just like, oh, why is it, poor Mary.
That sounds terrible. Yeah. So Lady Bevel's like, oh, we're just going to have to bank on this hypnotic agent with a sedative in it that can take out an elephant instead of my normal thing. Like,
this sounds like fun.
That sounds very dangerous, but okay. And where did she get this from? And where did she get this giant needle from that she is now shoving into Mary's neck?
Does she use the same needle in Mary that she uses in Dean?
Yes, I think so. And that was my next line too. I'm like, what the fuck? Because he's like, yeah. So, because he cuffs Lady Bevel to the chair as soon as like he can, and then she shoves the giant needle in his neck. Ugh.
Yeah. Why can't you? Oh man, just don't share needles. Just don't. Like, that's just so bad. And so
if you found one in the bunker, you can find a second one. I'm just saying.
And why didn't you use this to get your blood out earlier? So,
right?
Just to be safe, though, Dean does handcuff her to a table.
Yeah. And so Dean closes his eyes, and when he opens them, he's sitting in a chair in what we know is the living room of the old Winchester house. Yeah. And his leg is healed. It's like, that's all fucked up from the fall. So he walks in the kitchen, and then as he turns around, there's a crib appears with a baby in it in the middle of the living room, and infant Sam is crying in it. Well,
this is a damn cute baby Sam. Like, they got a real chubby baby for this one. Yeah. Like, I was like, okay, y'all did good on this. I'm like picking an infant for this one.
Yeah. And Mary's there before she chopped her hair off, and she is caring for baby Sam and going to make lunch for kid Dean.
And trying real hard making him a PB&J sandwich.
Yeah, and grown-up Dean that's there in her head, I guess, she's ignoring. She's not responding. So.
Yep, and he's trying to convince her to leave and get through, and it's not going.
Mm-hmm. At the... what do we call it? The compound, the Bristol Letters compound. Yeah. Our hunters have arrived, and the lead vehicle is the fucking sheriff's truck. Jody. Gosh. And she just barrels through that gate, though. She gives no shits.
Obviously, this is a secret organization that will be probably trying to cover things up. But can you just see the surveillance video of just like the sheriff's truck just driving through like this vigilante group of hunters? And then they just start shooting people.
It's straight to a firefight. Yeah.
And they're people. And I know they've done this throughout, like with British Men of Letters, but there's no flinching.
No, there's not. And I would make like it's a TV show, so I don't know if I'd make the same argument in real life, but for plot purposes and for consistency purposes, is that they are viewing this as these people are going to kill us, so we are protecting ourselves, and that's a stretch, but I think that's where they're going with it. I think this is the last straw. This is our last option on the table.
It just, for me, it feels like, and not even talking about my moral code, right? I'm talking about just for the morality code set for this show.
Sure.
To kill a not monster, to kill a human, always was like a bigger deal to them than like any time they've had to kill someone who was human. Yeah. Like there's been conversation about it. And this until, and even when Dean was Demon Dean, and then we were still talking about it, right?
Yeah.
And so that was like the line. And it doesn't feel like that line is there with this at all.
Agreed.
And that's just really strange.
No, it stood out to me too, for sure, in this episode, that like it's just like straight to, we're going to shoot this group of people is going to shoot up that group of people.
Yeah. We're just going to kill them.
We're just going to kill them.
And that's just it. And then just leave their bodies there.
There's no plan other than we're going to go kill them before they kill us. Yeah. That's the entire plan. And that's just not it's not in strategic or in line with the moral code they've established. You're correct.
Yeah. So we are going to talk about another battle, because since we're in a battle, and this is lore. And our British Men of Letters season, and we're going to talk about our final installment of the Golden Dawn. And this is about the Battle of Blythe Road, which is an infamous, to some of the know, magical battle between Aleister Crowley and William Butler Yeats, which happened at the Golden Dawn headquarters in London at the turn of the 20th century. And there are many versions, but this is my favorite from a Richard Ellman article in Variety. Upset over his denial of acceptance into the Second Order, Aleister Crowley went to Paris, where MacGregor Mathers initiated him into the Second Order. Crowley then went back to London, where he showed up as at the Isis Urania Temple in a Highlander's tartan, a Black Crusader's cross on his chest, a dirk, a Scottish dagger, a jaunty bonnet, and a skeen dhu, which is like another Scottish dagger tucked into his socks. Crowley made the sign of the pentacle inverted and climbed the stairs while shouting menaces. At the top of the stairs, William Butler Yeats and two others were waiting, and when Crowley got in reach, Yeats kicked him down the stairs. As amazing as that is, it's not entirely accurate. It is missing a little bit of context. So let's back it up a little bit. So the Golden Dawn was already having internal struggles when a 25-year-old Aleister Crowley first graced them with his beastly presence. Westcott had left because he was afraid of getting outed and fired from his day job as a coroner. Florence Farr, who was running the London Temple, had created a secret society within the order called the Sphere, causing some members to feel excluded. So basically this is a secret society, and somebody decided they needed a secret society within the secret society so they could exclude certain people from it.
That's why I was cracking up. I was like, what?
This is very much you can't sit with us. And so MacGregor Mathers and his wife Moyna had already moved to Paris. So Crowley joined the Golden Dawn in 1889 and took the name Perdurabo. I'm not saying that right, but it translates to he who will endure. And he quickly went through all the First Order material because he's a big old magical nerd. And he was gung-ho to enter the Second Order when the group said no. Yeats said he was too unstable and too much of a delinquent. Crowley had already been blacklisted from the Trades Protection Association for debt, so it's possible that is one of the reasons. Or it could have been his promiscuity, or his drug use, or his homosexuality, although those were not foreign behaviors to many of the Golden Dawn members. It could also have meant to be an affront to Mathers, who was friends with Crowley, or maybe they just didn't like him. So again, another you can't sit with us. Like he's like, I'm here, I'm ready to join your magical order, and they're like, no, we don't want you. So soon after this, and Mathers is in Paris, right? And he's reading in the meeting minutes from the London Temple meetings. So they're having meetings. He's like, oh, what are they saying about me? And he reads that they think that they should close the temple down. And he gets really upset about this. And Crowley goes to find Mathers in Paris because, he's pissed about not being initiated into the Second Order. So Mathers goes ahead and initiates him in Paris. And so he also just did this probably to piss the folks off back in London, right? Because they wanted to shut the place down. So he was like, fuck you, I'm initiating this guy. So this is also the time when Mathers drops that whole bombshell that Westcott had faked the founding documents from Anna Springle, and the time he was getting conned by Anna Distabar. She was there, Madame Poirot. So that's happening right now too. Florence Farr writes to Westcott, who denied the charges of the forgery, but couldn't produce any living witnesses to his story. Farr told Mathers that she would resign after he accused her of plotting with Westcott, because she was just talking to him. So he's like, oh, you must be plotting together, right? Yeah. And then Mathers is like, you're fired. And then the London group was like, no, you're expelled from the order. And it's sort of the order of things. But so Crowley goes to meet up with Mathers in Paris with plans to bring the London order to heel. Together they come up with the following. So Crowley, sorry, I keep saying, people say either, and this is a show with a Crowley in it. I'm sorry, so sometimes that happens. Yeah. So Crowley went to meet up with Mathers, so he's in Paris, and they're going to bring the London order to heel, and they decide they're going to do this. So Crowley's going to return to London with a list of new chiefs for the Isis Temple, and that would be the 5 people who were still loyal to Mathers, who didn't want to kick him out.
Okay.
Crowley had instructions to seize the premises of the order and the vault of the adepts. Each adept would then be interviewed and determined whether or not they would be readmitted to the temple. He also had magical instructions on how to conduct the interviews so that they were successful. He had magical signs and symbols to create and write over so he could get the right answers out of people. And he also had to be very careful to avoid Anna Distabar and her lover, who were in London at the time, with stolen documents from the Cult of Dawn. So Crowley gets back to London. At first, he just demands the documents that are now owed to him as a member of a second order since he was initiated, but he was denied, and they said, we do not recognize your Paris initiation. And according to Crowley's diary, the London crew also put a curse on him. His rubber Macintosh, his raincoat, burst into flames, and he kept losing his temper for no reason. He also said at least 5 times horses bolted at the sight of him. Yeah, clearly cursed. Other bad luck included a hansom cab caught on fire, a fireplace that wouldn't light, and nightmares that the Horoses were coming after him.
Huh.
On April 17th, 1900, Crowley came to the current headquarters of the Golden Dawn, which was over a shop, with one of the members, Elaine Sensen, and he talked the landlord into letting him in, signed his name to the scroll for the second order members. Like all the people who were initiated into this had the special scroll they would put their name and their motto on. So he just went and added his name and his motto to it. It was like, I was here. And his mottos was Christios Lucifatius, which let there be light or brightness, but it kind of looks like Lucifer, which is probably why he chose it. He also had the balls to have the locks changed.
Oh.
Yeah, so one of the members, Maud Cracknell, shows up. She sends a telegram to Edmund Hunter, another member, who arrives, followed by Florence Farr, who they called the police, who just requested that Crowley leave, and he did. So then Crowley returns 2 days later on April 19th, and this time he was dressed in that Highlander. He really was dressed like a Highlander. So he's got this black mask over his face. He was going to have this pub bouncer accompany him, but the guy got lost on the way there. So
he was going to have like private security with him?
Yeah, he was going to have an extra person. It was a chucker outer, but the guy couldn't find his way to Blythe Road. So Crowley goes through the shop, because you have to go through a shop to get upstairs to where the headquarters are. And so he just bursts his way through, and that's where Yeats and Edmund Hunter come to meet him and just told him he was not welcome. He was not kicked down the stairs, unfortunately. The landlord sent for a constable, who again told Crowley to leave, which he did, saying, I'm going to get a lawyer. The bouncer showed up a couple of hours later with a letter, and he was just bewildered about what the hell was going on and why it was so hard to find this place. And he just had no idea. And they're like, we're sorry you're here. Bye. Mm-hmm. So meanwhile, in Paris, Mathers, who's still upset about everything that's happening in London, took a large packet of dried peas, and he baptized each of them in the name of his London opponents. Then, while shaking the peas in a sieve, he evoked Beelzebub and Typhon Set, ordering them to wreak havoc and cause drama. I don't know if that really happened, but I really hope it did. I just love this idea of a man dressed in some weird outfit, shaking dry peas, and being like, oh, come on, Beelzebub. Oh, what people do. So on April 21st, Mathers was expelled from the Golden Dawn by the London Temple officially. This is considered by many to be the end of the original Golden Dawn. On April 26th, there was an actual court case in which Crowley accused Farr of unlawfully and without just cause detaining certain papers and other articles. Florence won, and Crowley had to pay $5 in court costs. Then the order found out that Crowley had extorted money from one of his mistresses, likely the previously mentioned Elaine Simpson, and they decided to magically solve the problem. They met her on the astral plane and convinced her to go to Scotland Yard to present evidence of Crowley's crimes against nature. Not sure what came of that one, because Crowley had already gone back to Paris, and then he went on to New York for adventures there. The Horos trial did happen in 1901, so that happened after this. We did lore a little bit out of order, but I think that's fine. So the trial happened in 1901, which made the Golden Dawn look bad. Florence Farr would resign in 1902. The order changed its name to the Hermetic Society of the Morgenröthe. It was really catchy.
Super succinct, yeah.
So yeah.
Catchy.
Eventually, Mathers would rename the branch of the Golden Dawn, who still was on his side, to the Rosicrucian Order of Alpha et Omega. And he and Crowley would stop being friends, and there were some accusations of slander and theft. Crowley would publish a bunch of Golden Dawn stuff in the Equinox in 1909, which Mathers would sue Crowley over the publication of that. And he would win that case, but just not a lot of money. So, yeah, and that's how...
Went on principle, but not funds.
Yeah, and the Golden Dawn still exists today. There was a revival and things were brought back up. But the original order, this is the original order. So thank you for going on the Golden Dawn journey this season.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. So we're gonna go back from that magical battle, which I still think is hilarious. From that one to a less hilarious battle where we unfortunately have Dr. Hess.
Yeah. And she knows that they are being attacked by hunters and sends her team out. And there is a whole lot more shooting going on. This is just basically a bunch of firefights throughout the British Men of Letters compound.
Yes, for sure. And then we go into Mary's head.
Yeah. And she is still not hearing Dean. And he grabs her arm and she pulls away. So now Dean knows that it's not that she can't hear him. She is intentionally ignoring him. And that's when he realizes she is choosing this. As he listens to her put pie or watches her put pie on the table for Kid Dean and tell little Kid Dean, I only want good things for you. I'll never let anything bad happen to you. And grown-up Dean says, I hate you.
Ow! Oh, so much emotion.
Oh my Lord.
And then we go from there to the British Men of Letters complex where they have blown their way inside and there's another firefight. Two tactical guys are down. One of the hunters is down too. And Jody then just shoots a guy.
Yeah. Yeah. Just shooting guys. Just shooting peoples.
Yep. And then we cut from there back to Mary's head. And this is like where Dean goes into a whole... he goes into a whole thing. And it's a lot. He goes through talking about that
this
she
is
lied.
the monologue. Well, and it's kind of the monologue that Dean needed to be open up to her about before, but he's really going in hard now.
This is the thing that you talk about with your therapist, not necessarily with your mom, or I guess maybe you talk about with your mom after she's dead. So this does make sense, right? Because this is just a lot of things that he's laying on, right? And so, because he tells her that she made the deal with Yellow Eyes, and that's why he comes waltzing into Sam's room. You left us alone with a shell of a dad, and his perfect wife and his perfect family was gone. Then he tells her that he had to be more than just a brother, and he had to be a father and a mother just to keep Sammy safe, and that wasn't fair. And then he couldn't do it. And then he goes to and just starts blaming all these things on her, right? That he killed the girl he loved. Sam got possessed by Lucifer. They tortured him in hell. He lost his soul, and it's all your fault, Mary. It's like the worst therapy ever.
Yeah, I kind of took it not that that's all her fault, but her choices, this was the domino effect. And that's why he blames her. But yes, it was a lot.
It is a lot.
She's still avoiding, but you can tell she's hearing this. She can tell she's listening, but she is pretending like she can't hear.
Yeah, and we can tell that in real time, Tony is watching them. And then Dean tells her that he hates her again.
But now he's fully crying.
Fully crying.
Tears. Not single man tear. We have full waterworks from Dean Winchester.
Yeah. And he says he loves her, which is the first time a Winchester has used those words in the entire run of Supernatural. What? No Winchester has said, I love you to each other. Isn't that crazy?
That is crazy.
Someone brought up
the word all about family. That's
dysfunctional
wild.
Family earlier today, and I'm like, oh yeah, it's been a while since we had that one. So, but he starts reversing, this is your fault to I love you, and he can't help it because she's his mom and they've both made deals and he forgives her. And he's like, we can start over on the other side. I just need you to fight and to look at me and to see him and to see me. And it's so much. It's so lot. And,
it's a lot.
Yeah.
Super heavy. Super heavy. And she's crying too. And she turns and looks at him and she sees him and says his name. And then we get a fucking jump scare.
He gets yanked out. And oh my God, Fancy Pants' throat is cut.
Yeah. And Ketch is there ripping the electrodes off. And Dean's like, no, and trying to fight, but he's still under the effects of the medication and his leg's all fucked up. So it is not an ideal fighting scenario.
It's not. And in British Men of Letters, you got Jody and the other hunter dude. Was it Lester? I don't remember his name. They shoots Paige. And then Dr. Hess throws him over the railing. Like, fuck Dr.
And then
Hess.
she breaks his neck with her hands.
Damn.
It's like, okay. What the hell? So back at the bunker, Ketch is mocking Dean on the floor, and he's really just kind of like kicking Dean's ass. But Dean's insists that he's going to kill him. And Dean Ketch is like, oh, you know what? Do you want to know what your mother said about you the whole time we were together? Nothing. Oh, so rude, Ketch.
Just blathering on though. Just blah, blah, blah.
Can't help it, can he? So Dean is able to muster strength to fight back at one point, but you're like, this is not good. Not good.
No. Yeah, Dean throws him on a table. Sam shot another dude. At British Men of Letters, Dr. Hess is using her handprint to get into like a room that she's trying to hide from the others. And Jody almost has her, but she gets inside.
But they have explosives. Yay, explosives guy.
I'm like, I got this. Yeah.
So, well, Ketch and Dean are still fighting. And finally, like, they're just, there's a table leg involved. This is like a chaotic, but also stressful and sad fight because Ketch is pissed. Dean is also like just broken. But Dean calls Ketch stupid and Ketch is like, no, and pulls a gun.
Yeah, so he's had a gun this whole time, and he's like about to straight up shoot Dean Winchester. But he doesn't get to shoot him because Mary shoots him in the shoulder, which somehow drives him to his knees. Like, somehow this is like the shot that takes him down. I'm like, it's like in his arm.
Yeah. Yeah. Weird choice. Why? I don't know what's happening.
I don't understand. So
they just needed to give him more time to monologue because that's what he was going to do, I guess.
Yeah. And he has to say his, I knew you were a killer. You both are. And then Dean says, you're right. And then Mary fucking killed him.
Yeah. I feel like he kind of had to kill him if we wanted to talk because he probably was a monster as a human monster. I think that one I would excuse. Some of the other ones we can have, the moral debate about. But I think it's been fully established that Ketch was a monster in his own right because we know all the people he went and killed.
Yeah. So
but that's the only one so far.
So So we go back to the British Men of Letters, and Dr. Hess wants him to open a portal.
Yeah, she's on the phone with the British Men of Letters, like, get me out of here, open a portal. And I like the response, afraid we don't have the resources for extraction.
I just love that that's an option. And I want to know, like, yeah, let's just open a portal. Okay,
yes,
cool.
Please. Yes, can I just catch a portal to the beach real fast?
Scientists, get on the portals.
No shit.
So they don't have the resources for that, and Sam and his friends have now gotten inside. But Dr. Hess calls Sam Dean.
She does, and he does correct her, which I think is hilarious. And he can clearly tell that she's, this is all her, she's running this shit. And she's like, well, killing me is, it just would be, and severing ties with the British Men of Letters could be a mistake, Here's this folder I have of these really shitty, grainy black and white photos when we have all this technology around us. Here's this folder full of really shitty black and white grainy photos of Lucifer on Earth.
And then she also drops a bomb that Crowley's dead and the devil is out looking for his son.
Mm-hmm. And he's tracking Castiel because Castiel is with baby mama.
Yep.
And if Lucifer gets that kid, then they're unstoppable, and then they'll need the British men of letters.
And the computer voice agrees with him and calls him boy.
Listen to her, boy.
Which
Ew,
I think is probably like what you think that's going to work? You're going to call me boy and you think things are going to end well? And Sam just sighs and says, pass. And he shoots the computer.
That'd be very satisfying. I'll give him that one.
Yeah. And Dr. Hess calls him a bastard and for shooting the computer, I guess. And then Jody shoots her in the head. Jody!
Yikes.
And then they drive away and the compound explodes. And thus ends the British men of letters.
It's wild.
They just blew up the compound.
They just blew it up. Which looks like actually like a shipping warehouse.
Well, again, it looked like a bunch of connexes that were put together
inside a shipping warehouse,
inside a warehouse, inside some fence. But they also left some of the hunters' cars that were there, that like people who didn't make it back out, and they just left them there and they didn't set them on fire. And there's a lot of bodies in there. Again, y'all just left a bunch of bodies
and hunter bodies. And hunter bodies. Aren't you supposed to do the hunter's funeral?
I know, yeah, and I know it's on fire. But do you think no one's gonna like come? Like, they're just going to ignore, like, the giant warehouse fire?
Sus.
Like,
super sus.
That's local town? Is it going to be like, oh my God, there's a giant warehouse fire?
No one will notice. It'll be fine. This will just sit there forever.
Okay,
so weird.
So, I know, we're TV land. So, we leave there and go back to the bunker.
Mm-hmm. And Mary's trying to, like, pick up or something. This place is trashed. And Dean is excited because he found a bottle of expired prescription painkillers because he is hurting. And I don't blame him. He looks very uncomfortable.
Yeah. He needs some cast healing. And now Mary is like, oh, this is all my fault. And he tells, like, because Dean just told you it was. And he does not correct her on that. He just tells her it's going to be okay.
Yeah. And you know, he's like, yeah, but you also made us who we are, and we kick ass, and we save the world. But Mary's like, what if Sam can't forgive me? But Sam's there,
and you don't have to be scared of him. And then they hug, and then they have this whole big group family hug, and they're all just like hugging each other and crying.
It is,
and that's how it ends.
It is. That's it. That's the episode.
So that's 22 ends. And so before we get to our final thoughts, what happens before our last episode of the season, are there any actors to talk about?
Casting couch. It's the casting couch. Were they on that show that time with that guy? La 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 la.
So there was not very many new actors we've seen before. So just as a reminder, we've seen Walt before. He's played by Nels Lennerson, and then Roy was played by Carrie Vandergriend. But we did meet our Anthony Bolognese, who played young Dean. I'm guessing that's how you say it. I played young Dean. He's been in an episode of Ghost Wars, Supergirl. He was Bobby in the movie Mercy, and he's done a lot of Hallmark Christmas as well.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thoughts?
This was in the fields, man. So there's a lot of like, you get a lot of the feels stuff, especially between Sam and Dean, and then with Dean and Mary. And then the other side of it, it's like you're kind of trying to like mentally like jump back and forth between that emotional thing and then like this like action flick that you need to morally remove yourself from. You know what I mean? Because in action movies, you're like, oh, whatever, everybody fucking blows up, who cares? But we've got characters that we've like have established a moral code, and the whole thing is about who we are. And now like who we are is killing you motherfuckers. That's a kind of a turn. Like we're better than them because we follow our gut and do the right thing, and we're gonna go kill them because they don't.
We're gonna shoot you in the head like American hunters, because that's what American hunters do. Apparently,
it's a little bit like incongruent. Is that what I should call this? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it is. I guess I don't know. It's a very hard. Again, like it's not even my moral code we're talking about. It's the show,
the established of the shows. Yeah,
and to go from we only kill monsters to we just shot about 24 people in the head. Like straight up, like just double tap shot, not even double tapping, but it just, it's very violent. And it was just, it's the violence is, and I guess with not to compare too much to The Boys, which is like this dialed up to 20, but they're also like superheroes in that, right? And so that's also making the violence a little fantastical, I guess, not real, gratuitous.
Well, and then you don't feel like it's as gratuitous when it's against things that aren't human.
Yeah, it's...
And like, so when they're killing monsters and it's like, oh, they just slaughtered 20 vampires. It's like, okay, well, they're vampires. But then they went and just like had shot 20 people. You're like, oh, wait a minute.
Yeah, Tactical Dude probably had a wife and kids. Like, it's he may be this British scumbag, and but he probably was still a human being. And I guess it's like a war thing, and it's, I don't know. It just seems, I wasn't a huge fan of that choice. I mean, I know, like, and we did it earlier with the guys when they were. That was also this season too, when they were in the woods after they got arrested for assassinating the president. Mm-hmm. And they had like those guys they were going after, it's like that, seems to be like the human beings have kind of taken a pass. But I mean, like, what would you have done with the British men of letters? Would you have like put them in a, what?
Yeah, I don't know if I have a better answer.
You can't arrest them.
You can't arrest them. They had no interest in negotiating. They weren't going to give the Americans a pass. Like, what do you do? And so I think that's what their argument would be, is that they had turned into human monsters and this was their only way out, because everybody that was on their team was either fully ingrained in it or was brainwashed into it, and you can't change that. I still don't like it, but I don't know what the alternative storyline would have been.
Yeah. And then, we also took out Dr. Hess, thankfully. Mm-hmm. But we saw a little bit of her coming out, and it's like, okay, she was a really interesting villain. Mm-hmm. The Dolores Umbridge is supernatural, so bye Dolores. But we've got Lady Fancy Pants, who, as we said, we were talking about humanizing. Was had the son that and a whole, like, her whole estate, where her ladyship was. Who's gonna take so now she's gonna have a little lord son. He doesn't have a mommy, and then we also have Ketch, which is, like you said, was there any other outcome that could have happened for him besides being killed like that? But
not for him. I don't think he had. He seemed that he was a character that was created to not have connections. So I think that probably, because of his just demeanor being so gross.
Yeah, but again, Mary killed a human being. She was trying to kill them, but still, so y'all are killers, and it's not wrong when he said that, and True. That's what we had those lines where Dean said, you're not wrong. Yeah. And so it's interesting that that's seriously a part of their life.
Yeah. It is.
All right. So we've got one more episode before we have one more, and that's the season finale. So, if you think this was the episode before,
it's going to be, I feel like I can tell it's going to be a roller coaster, because this was fucking a lot in one episode.
Yeah. Buckle up. And don't forget and also here's your seasonally reminder to study before trivia.
Yeah, I need to do that.
I'm sure you will. All right. On that note, cheers, jerk.
Cheers, bitch.
Devil's Trap Podcast is a Don't Get It production. Meow.
Devil's Trap Podcast is part of the Ship It Studios Podcast Network. Thanks for listening to this week's episode of Devil's Trap Podcast. You can follow us on Instagram at Devil's Trap Podcast, Twitter at Devil's Trap Pod, or you can email us at devilstrap@devilstrappodcast.com. Don't forget to subscribe, leave reviews, and share with all your friends. We're at all your favorite podcast outlets and at devilstrappodcast.com. I'm Babe. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.